some of our MPs work on the front line in A&E and did during COVID because they're qualified health professionals. I think most people would say there's a public service element to that, and that would be a reasonable thing to do. Other MPs, and I'll make this cross-party, are police reservists, army reservists. There are MPs in all different parties who are those. And again, I think most people say, well, that's there's a public service element. But the default position, if you like, the general principle should be no second jobs for members of Parliament. Now, that's a change I'm proposing going forward. I think at a moment like this, after what the Prime Minister has put us all through in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we need to make that change going forward. We put that proposal on the table earlier this week. We put a plan of action on the table. The government then voted it down in favour of more talks on standards. We've been talking about standards for years.
We have, yeah. I mean,
we need
we've
action.
been talking about standards for years. You're now saying ban all second jobs. A few years ago, I hate to keep going back through the history books, but a few years ago, you were taking money for giving advice and for acting as a lawyer when you were an MP. I mean, again, it's this question about what you're saying now, what you're saying then. There seems to be inconsistency.
Well, let me answer that directly. The first thing is I've given up my legal certificate the best part of 2 years ago now. So
yeah,
I'm
but
not
when you were not leader of the party, you were earning tens of thousands of pounds acting as a lawyer and offering advice.
I heard the question. I'm about to give the answer, if you'll just permit me to do so. I've given up my legal certificate the best part of 2 years ago. I'm not qualified to give advice as a lawyer, and I haven't given advice as a lawyer in that period. And so I've got no personal interest in this. Before that, I did give legal advice in accordance with the rules. What I'm now proposing is that this is a moment, whether it's legal advice or anything else, where we just have a clearer rule, no second jobs for MPs, except in those limited exceptional circumstances. And there's a sort of common sense to my test, I think, and most people that I've spoken to about this say, well, that seems right. By default, you don't have a second job. But if it is exceptional, working at A&E on the front line, police reservist, army reservist, that seems reasonable to me. Now, we put this on the table. I want it to be a cross-party discussion because in the end, standards have to be agreed across Parliament. So my question to the Prime Minister is pick this up and work with us on it. We can have a strong rule here and clean up some of the mess that you, Prime Minister, have caused, particularly in the last 2 to 3 weeks.